Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another 10-minute investor eye test. This is Sasha with Arcanum Ventures. I'm here with my good friend and colleague, Carmelo. And today we're taking 10 short minutes to dive into Intuition, which is a decentralized system for reputation, trust, and decision making within peer-to-peer systems. Whatever that may mean. May mean many things. Carmelo, what do you know about Intuition?
Not much, but I've never heard of it, and it kind of snuck up on us. But you and I just saw it for the first time like a few minutes ago before we started filming, and I'm excited to unpack and see if the token design is intuitive.
Yeah, I mean, we just picked this project because we saw it, and I guess you could say we chose it on intuition. But I guess you're gonna find out about it. It sounds pretty cool. Like this is right up our alley, using decentralized systems and cryptocurrencies and incentive structures for let's say human consensus. I like this, right? We could do a lot with that.
Yeah, and it seems like there's been a consistent theme lately where we see cool ideas, but the token either has no information or the token is poorly designed and doesn't need to exist. So interesting to see if it fits the bill for that or if it's actually a sensible token design and something that as an investor or user I would want to acquire or hold. So I guess that's the frame of focus for these 10 minutes is to figure out, not only is this a cool idea because it does seem like a cool idea on the surface, but does it make sense to invest in this or hold those tokens or acquire those tokens some way interacting with the protocol or the platform?
Yeah, absolutely. I guess we're going to find out very soon. And for those of our audience members that are unfamiliar with this concept, we take 10 short minutes to dive into a project that is launching a digital asset or token very soon. And stick around until the end where we give our verdict on whether we think this might be a good investment or not. And so with that being said, I'll go ahead and start the clock. You ready, man?
Yep, ready.
All right, 10 minutes on Intuition starting right meow. Boom. And I've got crypto rank up here. And as you can see, they've got an ICO starting tomorrow on Legion. And Jesus, this is a big number for a cap table.
Yep.
Look at that cap table. That is wild.
And it's not listed there, but I do believe they have raised $4 million already a few years back in 2023. So this has been cooking for a while, which is nice. It's not just a reactive project just started a few months ago. They've already been focused on data, and maybe this is applicable for AI agents as well. There are quite a few names on here. You're right. And Orange DAO
Yeah.
is a pretty big one. Shima, GSR, Consensus,
Consensus. We've got
ArcStream,
ArcStream,
Primal.
Primal, New Tribe. Yeah. Dow Jones. I've never heard of that one before. That's a fun name.
It's a great name. And then you got, I think, Gabby Dizon from, what is it? Yield Guild, I think.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's a really impressive cap table. Maybe too large of a cap table. Did they raise too much? I don't know. But let's check out what they've raised. So, um, like you said, they've got 4 million in a seed round,
Yep.
going back 2 years ago, which Superscript had led, and I guess CryptoRank is now paywalling information. I got to reach out to those guys and get a premium subscription. But
Yeah.
yeah,
And
no info on the token, right?
yeah, or how much money they're raising with this ICO, because that's not really easy to find so far. And also, one thing that you and I always talk about with that seed round back in 2023 was that primarily against tokens or exclusively against tokens, or was there some equity involved in the holding company or the IP holder? So that's something that you always want to know. I think not enough people think about that when they're looking to invest in a token is how much of this am I actually owning? Is this completely decentralized and I'm actually an owner of this if I own the tokens? Or, is there something else that I'm not getting access to or the right to own or revenue share if I only hold the token?
Yeah, I mean, it's a very good point, right? There's no information here, at least publicly shared on CryptoRank.
Yep.
Judging by a $4 million seed raise, like, general rule of thumb, it's hard to tell. We don't know what the round terms were, but I would guess that the public valuation, the seed round, if they've raised an additional round, That valuation at the latest round might be anywhere from 50 to 100 million, which is
Mm.
quite high. We don't know what they're building yet, but hopefully we find out. Let's dive into the website. So we've got the trust protocol, allowing people and machines to get the information they need when they need it from the sources they trust. Yeah, that's fantastic, right?
Yeah, yeah, it's pretty straightforward, and there's still some buzzwords in there, and that's unavoidable. But it's pretty easy for the layperson to understand what they're doing. I think for a lot of this, I don't think many people know it like an information graph is, but you can kind of use context clues and figure it out. And then they're very quick to logo harvest and throw some logos here, but that's to be expected. So they got their backers, and some of the angel investors as well. There's quite a few,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and yeah, up in the top they got explored the beta. So there's apparently something already live, which is cool. So it's not vaporware.
Yeah, so it's Intuition's the Git for knowledge, powered by the world's first token curated graph, designed to decentralize the curation, discovery, and monetization of the world's information. So it sounds like they're provisioning data and information from a community of people, and so they're going to be hopefully using the token to incentivize provisioning of this data,
Yep.
and hopefully based on simple economic concepts of value in, value out, they can use that data to create insights or information that's useful to somebody somewhere who's willing to pay money. And then that's going to, in part, go back and power rewards. So it's kind of like a value share mechanism. So people are helping contribute data and then they're getting paid to do so, which is a great economic system if that's what it is. But so far,
Yeah.
nothing on the token.
Yeah, it's funny because that's about as natural a use case as you could imagine for a token, but we still don't see any context or information about that token, which is a little bit strange, considering that all the other information about every other aspect of this is clearly laid out. It's just they've neglected to mention what the token does.
Yeah,
I
nothing
mean,
yet, no mention at all.
and you and I have worked on systems similar to this before, and what your and my best guess is that this is for sure a value mechanism to give value back, like you said. But is that it, or is there more? Is there a DAO element here? Is there some aspect of governance? I don't know what other utilities they might need or what we're not thinking about, but you and I can certainly give educated guesses there.
Yeah, it's a really good point, right? And so we've seen it a couple of times. Contributors are fairly rewarded for the value they create. So that can be just in, revenue share. I doubt it's in revenue share though. More likely, they want to distribute the token just to remain more compliant, maybe
Yeah,
legally, depending on the jurisdiction. At the same time, there should be some natural other use cases for the token. If not, then essentially they're just paying people out in the token. Those people are expecting to be compensated in token, which means the only use case they could possibly have is dumping the token and taking something of value in a more liquid asset like Bitcoin or Ethereum or stablecoin or hard currency to their bank account. And so if that's the case, then the company needs to make sure that this is sustainable through buybacks. They need to buy the token back to continue giving rewards. Otherwise, it just goes into the ground. And
and
again,
that's also predicated on like an issue I see and you see a lot with pitch decks or websites is there's maybe they do a decent job of explaining what they want to do, but they don't do a good idea of who this is for and how they're going to monetize it. Because, I could also give my best educated guesses there, but like, who's the target demographic for this? Like, I can understand the supply side, right? Let's call it the supply side of who's going to give their data, either their own data or data they scrape or information they help supply or find or validate. But who's going to demand this? Who's going to buy this information? And how is it going to be priced? Is the token going to be a factor there, or is it just straight up fiat payments? And then that's going to go back into value output for the community and the people that are supplying the data. So it's another question I have, and a job like crypto doesn't do a great job of explaining business models or revenue or pricing mechanisms. Like that's a huge gap in crypto that we see all the time.
yeah, you're so right. It's kind of disappointing. Like it's very rare on these eye tests that we see anyone with the full package. right?
Yeah.
Like this website looks fantastic. The branding, even the name, Intuition, is great. I understand what they're doing because I've been in this industry for a while. If I wasn't, I probably would have no idea what they're talking about. There's so many buzzwords here. Deterministic querying and discoverability. Um, let's say, what is this? Fostering an ecosystem where data and services can interact without barriers or bias. I know exactly what that means. Many people are not going to have a clue. And so I don't think they've done a great job of really explaining like what they're going to be doing with this data. It says here that they want to semantically map the world's data, allowing for deterministic querying and discoverability. To many
Yeah.
people, that's gibberish. But I understand that, like, this is a huge need in the future of our sort of digital frontier.
Hmm.
But again, like, can you tell me what you're going to use the data for? Can you give me an idea of who you've spoken to who's already going to, let's say, use this data or be willing to pay for data for specific things that you're doing? And again, right down here, tokenized incentives. So you're giving rewards. How is that a good investment for me? If you're trying to sell the token to people on an ICO platform, or you want investors to buy the token, you want me to buy something that's just going to inflate because you're just giving more and more of it away? You guys are, missing the ball here several times.
Yeah, and you got to be able to sync those tokens back in to give another possible outflow path besides selling. Like, you're absolutely right. And it is interesting that they neglect that information, and also, like, this website's it's nice. Like, I personally like it, but again, it sort of seems like they're trying to do everything, and this is another common problem. Like, we want to sell this token to potential retail investors, we want to sell the idea to potential clients, and by trying to do both, you're actually doing neither. So it's unclear what this website is geared towards. Like, it's good that they have explored the beta, like, here, check out our platform, maybe that has a lot more information, but um, other than that, it's like, who are you trying to sell on this? Because you're not doing a great job of selling token holders or buyers yet. The product might be great, but you're not really telling us who you're catering this to on the client side as well. Who's going to buy this information? Maybe Base and
Oh,
Arbitrum are their clients. Like, it says ecosystem mapping here. Maybe they've made deals with Arbitrum and Base, like, pay us and we'll put our community on this.
yeah, I mean, this is a great use case, right? And we've got a client that does something similar. It's building similar infrastructure, and this is exactly what we advise them on. There are
Yep.
some huge gaps in knowledge and information for a lot of very, very um, buzzing ecosystems, and there's a lot of people with different pieces of information that can come together and complete the picture for many of these companies. And so creating an ecosystem map for Base or Arbitrum is a perfect use case just to demonstrate, hey, we got like a huge community of people with different knowledge pieces, and together it can be quite powerful. I don't
Yep.
know if they're actually customers, but it's a great way to demonstrate like a proof of concept. um, and yeah, it's exactly what we might expect, right? Promising sector, best wallet, best NFT project on Base. This is the challenge with something like this because, look, there's nothing like this that exists in good form yet. So the entire development of a what we refer to as a human oracle is going to be trial and error. You don't know how to ask questions in the right way. You don't know what types of answers you'll get. You don't know how people will try and break or game the system. So yeah, there's a massive learning curve in trying to figure out like how am I going to create the perfect data collection infrastructure and then data validation infrastructure. It's kind of wild.
Yeah, and for this feature right here, it could be incredibly useful. Like, it's nice to learn about new ecosystems, but it's also, like, very objective, right? Like,
Yeah.
best wallet on Base. Like, what are the metrics by which this is being judged, and how do I know that you're not, like, gaming your own? Maybe some wallet provider on Base is telling their community, like, we'll pay you out in our airdrop if you go to there and vote for our wallet. Like,
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, best wallet on Base, like, what's stopping you from like just copy pasting crap information in all of these to earn points and then try
yeah,
and gain whatever, right? So this is the trial and error I was talking about. Like best wallet on base is subjective. But what if you were to ask, like, wallets with most volume on base, or like the 7-day volume, or like wallet with the highest 7-day volume or something? Now you're actually getting your community members to go out and do real research.
Yeah.
So yeah, like, this is interesting, but we're well over our 10 minutes, unfortunately, and we've got to dive into verdicts. But before we do, I'd like to remind everyone, if you're enjoying this content, this evaluation, our discussions, make sure you tap that like button. Throw us a follow. We got fun content coming out, some more boom room interviews, some more eye tests, etc. And Carmelo, would you like to go first on your verdict for Intuition?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, overall, I think you could probably get a feel for what I'm going to say, but I like the idea. I think that's why we spent more time. We went over our 10 minutes today because it is a fun thing to talk about, and it's something that's endlessly discussable, basically. Data is huge. How we get that data and validate it is huge in the age of misinformation. Like, even for us to go on CryptoRank and find out what's launching to cover in the next video is difficult sometimes because the information is not quite accurate. It's people driven and supplied, and people are, flawed. So how do we make better systems to aggregate and organize and validate this information? Well, this is a great first step towards that, and I'm very enthusiastic about anybody doing anything like this, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they do next. But I would say that the website and the lack of token information is a little bit worrying, especially if they're gearing up to do their ICO in the next few days. So I think they do a decent job of explaining the product, but I would like to see more information about the business model, the revenue, who they're targeting. Maybe it's based in Arbitrum, but I'm not quite sure. Legacy traditional company applications for this as well, because, when you and I invest, I would always like to see, at least that thought that eventually we're going to pivot and turn our attention to everybody and not just limit ourselves to Web3 clients and Web3 companies and partners. So using Web3 to go out into the real world and sort of integrate with these other companies, and all of a sudden your client pool expands by, an order of magnitude or several orders of magnitude. So I would like to see more information about the token and about how they're going to monetize this. Are there token syncs? Because like you said, you and I design models like this all the time, and we usually try to create as many syncs as possible so that those tokens are not just outflow to the exchange and then sold. Like, it works if you have a sort of a revenue share model, but it's the bare minimum. And lastly, I'll say that you're absolutely right about like malfeasance and supplying bad information or lazily copy pasting. So having some sort of identifier or reputation system in here is paramount. But I don't know. I didn't see anything about that. Probably they have something in the white paper as well, but nothing on the surface level. So overall, I would give it a thumbs up. I think this is a really cool idea. Good luck to the team. I'll be monitoring and doing some digging, but that's not to say that I would invest in this, but I am interested enough to keep looking and digging.
Mm. Yeah, I think that's a really fair take. And surprisingly, the thumbs up came out of left field after a bunch of critical comments, but I think it makes perfect sense. I want to be clear that, like, a lack of information does not mean bad information. And so I think the team just overlooked the criticality of providing enough context for what the digital asset does. You're right. I think the fact that they have an ICO coming up and that it's so hard to navigate the website to find any information on what the asset is, we still didn't find it. Took 10 minutes, have a good understanding of what they're building. And even with our strong intuition and understanding in this space, but we haven't seen one single mention of the token, didn't see the ticker anywhere. We don't know what the hell it's for, besides the platform's going to incentivize people with rewards. Didn't mention the token in that sentence either. So we don't know how this economic system works. We don't know what they're selling. People are supposed to buy this asset based on speculation and lack of information. That's concerning. I don't like that this is still a trend in crypto. If you have an official company and you're creating something as professional and institutional as what we see here, let's be honest, this is some really, really legitimate infrastructure. Hopefully it's going to solve a lot of problems. Why bring speculation and degenomics into this? So tell me what the hell the token does. I want to know. Based on what I've seen, just understanding what they're doing. I haven't seen anything as far as traction, community numbers, the number of data providers or validators. There's nothing there. Companies that they're working with, nothing. Still, I'll give it a thumbs up. I'm willing to dive deeper and understand what the token does and understand the use cases behind this, what they actually plan on doing with this infrastructure, and more importantly, understand how far they've gotten in building this infrastructure. Because I already know that there's a huge number of use cases that this can fit into. It's the idea of a human-powered data oracle is very, very necessary. So I think this is going to be great. Anyways, that's our 10 short minutes on intuition. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching and tuning in. Make sure you tap that like button. Stick around. We got more fun content coming. And until next time, ciao, y'all.